Hi guys, this is just going to be a short video to remind you how to do metric conversions the easy way. Alright, just kind of a little background. The metric system is actually only not used in 3 countries in the world. The ones that you see in red are the places where the metric system is not used. This can make the metric system seem really confusing to Americans because we're one of those 3 countries in the world that does not use the metric system, although the majority of the world does use it and does understand it. So just some basics of the metric system. In the metric system, there are 3 base units that are used to measure everything. Length is measured in meters, weight is measured in grams, and volume or capacity is measured in liters. And then the metric system uses something called a prefix, which is a word that's added to the front of another word. And that helps add value to each of the base units. So for example, the kilo actually means 1,000. So a kilometer or a kilometer, depending on how you say it, means 1,000 meters. So the metric units work just like the place value system, with each unit to the left getting 10 times larger. So as I move this way, these each get 10 times larger than the one before it. And it goes backwards as well, just like place value. Each unit gets 10 times smaller, or a tenth the size of the unit that was to the left of it. So a centimeter, here's our centimeters, is 10 times larger than a millimeter. You can easily see this with a meter stick. There are 10 millimeters in every centimeter. And here's one you can easily see on just a regular old ruler. On the opposite side, there's going to be centimeters. Here's the 1 centimeter mark. And if you count all those little tiny marks in between, which are the millimeters, you're going to find that there are 10 millimeters in that centimeter. 10 of these make one of those. 10 of these make one of those, and so on and so forth. So the conversion process, which means the process of changing something. You can use multiplication to convert from one unit to the next. But today, I'm going to do conversions using a mnemonic device. It's a little easier on the brain. So a mnemonic device is a phrase that helps you remember something beyond its actual meaning. We can use this mnemonic device to remember the units of the metric system. This is the one that I've taught in class, but kids usually know another one as well. So kids hate decimals unless decimals create money. You can see each letter, the beginning of this phrase is capitalized, and that's to help you remember the units in the metric system. When it says unit here, we're actually talking about meters, liters, and grams. All right, so step 1. You add a decimal to the number if it doesn't have a decimal already. So in our example here, if you were given just the number 78, there is no decimal on that number. So what you would need to do before you began is you would want to put a decimal right here at the end of the number. So you'd end up with 78 decimal. Now, we're not going to be using that particular one today. Today, our example is going to be 7.8. Step 2, using the mnemonic, you're going to locate which unit you are starting with. So, for example, we began, here we have our example of 7.8 millimeters. Millimeters are right here with my mnemonic. So that's where I'm beginning. Step 3, you're going to find the unit you are converting to. So I have 7.8 millimeters, and I'd like to turn that into centimeters. So I'm right here, I'm in millimeters, and I would like to go to centimeters. That's where I'm going to end. Step 4, count from your number's current unit to the unit you want to convert to, or where you want to be. Keep in mind how many times you had to move and in what direction. So again, if I go back here with my pencil just as a reminder, we are starting in millimeters and we are moving to centimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and count that out for us. I'm right here, I'm moving 1 time, and I moved 1 time to the left. Step 5, you're going to move your decimal the same number of times and the same direction as you did on the chart with your letters in your mnemonic. So I had 7.8 millimeters, and I'm going to centimeters. So if we remember from our previous slide, I'm in millimeters, I'm going to centimeters, and that was one jump to the left, one time. So I'm going to move my decimal the same number of times, one time, and the same direction to the left. Here we go. One time to the left. My decimal is now here. My answer is now 0.78 centimeters. Now, just to remember mathematically, the decimal never actually does move. Using a mnemonic is a trick to make metric conversions a little bit easier, and you can actually solve them with multiplication and division, but today, to make it a little bit easier, we're using the mnemonic, and we are going to move the decimal, even though technically and mathematically, it doesn't ever actually move. Okay, and now we can try a couple. Let's try a few out. First thing I need to do is I need to have my mnemonic. So I remember kids hate decimals unless decimals create money. And there in my U, that's where I have meters. Meters, liters, and grams. So we are starting out with 78 kilometers, and we're going to turn that into centimeters. Now the first step, if I go back to what we discussed, is that I need to have a decimal, and I do not currently have a decimal on this, so I'm always going to put it at the end if there isn't one there already. Now I'm going to go up to my mnemonic and figure out how many times, or figure out where I am starting. So right now I'm in kilometers, and I need to go to centimeters. I'm going to count how many times I need to move over. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times to the right. So I'm going to go here to my decimal. I'm going to move my number down here so I have enough space. And that decimal is going to move 5 times to the right, just like I did on my mnemonic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if I have empty spaces like this, I fill them in with zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my decimal is no longer here. It is at the end. Remember, decimals don't really move, but we're going to do that today just to make a little more sense. And as we've discussed in class, every 3 digits, I will have a comma. So 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma. And I get an answer of 7,800,000 centimeters. One conversion down. Let's try another one. And we need a slightly larger eraser. Okay, let's try one more, and then the rest is up to you. Okay, on our last, let's go ahead and try the let's try this last one, 7.8 centimeters, and I'm going to kilometers. Now I need my mnemonic, so kids hate decimals unless decimals create money. And I'm going to mark, or I'm going to check and make sure that I have a decimal, which I can see I do indeed. Now that I have a decimal, I don't need to add in another decimal. So now I'm going to find where I'm at on my mnemonic. I am at centimeters, so I am right here. And I am going to kilometers, which is over here. I want to count how many times that takes to move from that point to the other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 moves, and I went to the left. I'm going to do the same thing with the number I have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My decimal is now here. No longer here. Remember, that doesn't actually happen, but that's what makes the mnemonic work. And I have a few empty spaces. So I'm going to go ahead and fill those empty spaces in with zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I get an answer of 0.0000078 kilometers. I hope this helps. Please feel free to let me know if you have any additional questions.